So in the past few days, Dong and Julian, two previous mainstays on the OneyPlays channel, held 30 plus hours of drama streams going over bad experiences and various other allegations related to their time on the channel. Due to their sheer length, lack of archive, and all the different stuff they go over, I feel there's a lot of confusion, misinformation, and misinterpretations of what exactly they said there. I myself was very curious, so I took it upon myself to sit through the entirety of these streams to attempt to make sense of all the different allegations, stories, and stuff they exposed, which I have now decided to compile all into this video so you can also get a grasp of what exactly happened. So I'll first give some super fast context that will be necessary to understand everything. Many fans consider the Dong and Julian era of 2016 to 2019 to be the funniest and most memorable time of the OneyPlays channel. OneyPlays is also where Dong and Julian introduced themselves to the wider internet and built a fanbase they enjoy today, with many following them after they left to do their own streams and most importantly, start up a game studio. With Dong and Julian gone, the show would cycle between guests, most often featuring guys like Zach Psychopebbles, Tomar, Lyle Rat, and the GOAT Corey Spazkid. In 2021, Chris got the band back together and Dong and Julian returned to the channel for 2 weeks of recording, branded as Oney Stays, where the three produced some truly great new series, like my personal favorite and near complete playthrough of Yick. But since then, the two have completely vanished from the OneyPlays universe. In the time frame between Oney Stays and today, Dong and Julian have continued working on their games and started streaming on their own website, whilst Chris is working on his own game, Boblo, which recently had a very strong showing at Too Many Games, winning the Indie Platformer Game of the Show award. Zach obviously worked on Smiling Friends for Adult Swim, with others like Tomar and Lyle also working on the now Emmy-nominated smash hit cartoon, amongst other projects alongside OneyPlays. Finally, it must be mentioned Dong and Julian had one especially notable stream in 2023 where the two exposed some extremely bad experiences they had back in 2017 working on the Dream Daddy dating sim game developed under the Game Grumps brand, stating that they faced heavy pushback and harassment from people working there for voicing their opinion that the game was pandering and exploitative of the LGBT community, culminating in Dong getting doxxed by an unnamed member of the office and thereafter being outed as gay to his parents, leading to an attempted suicide, which he then says members of the Dream Daddy team even joked about to him.
So the next day we're talking to somebody and immediately they present the idea of, wouldn't it be funny though if, somebody, did do it and they left a note blaming these specific people for it? That was not a joke. That was a serious thing that they had said immediately after, making it clear, you want me to fucking do it, don't you? You want me to do it, and you want me to leave a note, and you want to fucking exploit me on this. Are you kidding me right now?
The stream described a quite intense and sad situation for Dong and Julian. There was no response made by anyone from the Game Grumps side, and people unanimously took Dong and Julian's side in this situation. And besides that, there was no other major drama to speak of from either Dong, Julian, or the rest of OneyPlays. That was up until just 5 days ago as of writing this, where the two would start up a similar stream, this time focusing on bad experiences they had when working at OneyPlays. So here's what went down. On July 15th, the OneyPlays Twitter tweets out a promo for an Armenian Corey talking plushie. In reply, another user reposts a near decade-old comic made by Julian. This comic specifically comments on Julian's sense of unease with being turned into a marketable character rather than his own person, and his fears of being known only as the funny haha Julian guy from OneyPlays. Featuring a rather poignant section where, after learning OneyPlays was considering making plushies, he was haunted by visions of plushies bearing his likeness, filling up landfills. I assume the Twitter poster was reposting this comic to point out the irony of it, and clearly had no ill intentions. However, this, according to Dong and Julian, led to them getting an influx of weird comments and new followers.
Specifically, there was a Twitter post somebody had made, and by the way, it was not a negative Twitter post. We found about this a bit late. I think Julian
a few days later.
Yeah, Julian found out about like a few days later. I was starting to notice, both of us noticed, we were getting weird followers and everything on occasion, weird messages.
Whenever we get like an influx of followers, we usually know there's a problem.
Yes, because people don't really pay attention to us, which is fine.
This, combined with other recent events we'll get to as they come up, made Dong and especially Julian feel like they needed to speak up about all their negative experiences at OneyPlays and being e-celebs in general over the years. which they would do over 4 streams hosted on their website from July 19th to the 23rd. Okay, so there's a grand total of 30 plus hours of stream to go over here, and yes, I watched through all this shit for this video, at least the amount that I could find archived, which comes out to around 19 hours. And I must shout out and thank the people across the internet who did go through the trouble of saving these for us, so I and all of you can get a grasp of what actually happened. There will be credits given as they appear. Anyway, for this video, I'm going to try my best to lay out all the major points by Dong and Julian across these streams, along with giving the relevant context for you where available. We'll be going through each stream in order and referencing points as they are brought up, but it's important to note that the vast majority of the airtime here is repeating the same things over and over, so if something gets brought up for the first time in one stream and is elaborated on more, either later on or in a following stream, I will sort of talk about them all together. That'll hopefully make things easier to follow, give better context, and keep this video from going on unnecessarily long. Also, because they repeat points so often, we will be getting through each stream faster than the last. Finally, I'll say I want this video to be as fair as possible, so I will play a lot of relevant excerpts from the stream and other places, even though I generally try to avoid overusing clips in my videos, but I think it's necessary in this case. So without further ado, let's finally get into the OneyPlays drama. The first stream takes place on the 19th, running for 10 hours. This is the one that is the most well known, as a 45-minute clip of it was uploaded to YouTube, garnering almost 100,000 views, as well as several other short clips across places like Twitter, Kiwi Farms, and Reddit. This is unfortunately the one with the least archival, but what we do have is pretty wild. So let's start with the big section archived in the YouTube re-upload. This opens with Ding Dong explaining the Chuba incident. Ding Dong claims that OneyPlays will make various sneaky references to, I guess, shame and bully their associates.
They do it to a lot of people, by the way, constantly, taking vague shots at people over and over and over again. They did it to us too. They did it to another situation, and a lot of people found out about it later and figured out, like, oh, that's what that meant. I didn't really get it, but now I get it. Yeah, they've been doing that for a long time. If there's something they say in a video that doesn't make a lot of sense, they're probably referencing an actual person that they're hoping to hurt through one of their videos.
The only other example of this I know of that he could possibly be referencing is the power move comment in the Sonic Heroes playthrough, which this is a whole other complex drama, but essentially it was referencing a cringy comment Rice Pirate Mick made whilst he was trying to get with Oney's ex. Rice Pirate aggressively shaking Chris's hand at a party, and later drunkenly referring to it as a power move in a voicemail he sent to her.
I don't know if you get what I was saying when I said I did that, and I just wanted to clarify that that was very much a power move, and I think everybody else understood that. I don't know why you didn't.
Just so you know, that was a power move.
What?
Nothing. No, nothing.
What was the power?
Ding Dong then describes Chris doing a similar thing in another playthrough by mentioning tubas.
That was why they brought up the tuba thing in the one video. That was them trying to take a shot at me. And they were trying to expose people to the fact that I was a furry. Then a few months later asking me if I'll record with them again. Which maybe was even partially trying to test the waters of, did you see when I called you out in front of everybody and tried to get you hurt?
This is because Ding Dong apparently has a Chuba 4 fetish, also involving frogs and frogs and Chubas, particularly liking the Digimon Geckomon for this reason, which is somewhat strange but ultimately harmless, and I can't see why he'd feel embarrassed having it exposed.
Uba? What is that? Oh, I'm horny. Let's go into it. Fuck. I'm not horny anymore. Now I'm horny. There you go. Damn it! Let me in, you fucking game, Jesus!
But it is worth mentioning, assuming this is an intentional dig by Chris, like Ding Dong's claiming, absolutely 0 people knew about this fetish or that this is what the clip was referencing until he himself exposed it on this very stream. And furthermore, there are several other clips where similar jokes are made when Ding Dong is present and he plays along with them.
Your favorite Digimon, the frog with the tuba?
Yeah, he's cool.
Does he evolve into a bigger frog with a bigger tuba?
Yeah, he
Honk,
does.
honk.
Does he evolve into a bigger
Does
frog
he keep
with a
that
bigger
ability?
tuba?
But regardless, Ding Dong says the Chuba incident deeply hurt him and would later claim it is one of the main reasons for his call-out stream.
Clear. I don't want to fucking fight about these things. I never did. But, like I said too, when I found out about that thing, the furry call-out, and that was seriously just a few months before we recorded with them and everything, that was enough where I was like, you know what? I think I'm just done with this. I have no reason to be nice to this. I have no reason to be kind to this. They even just got me to buy a game and then they removed me immediately off of Steam just a little bit afterwards anyways. I'm tired of doing this kind of thing that I'm supposed to be there for somebody who literally just wants to see me get hurt over and over and over again.
Next up is the largest one thing discussed throughout the streams, being Ding Dong and Julian's experience when recording Oney Stays. First, Ding Dong says that they only did Oney Stays because they were asked to, not just for money, saying an ambiguous "they" was spreading rumors about that being the case.
Was it 2021 or 2022? It's because we got asked. Anytime that we ever went back to record, it's because we got asked. That's why I could also tell when they were going out of their way to try to spread rumors. Trying to go out there and say things like, I bet they're doing it because they're greedy and they just want money. No, we got asked every single time.
Throughout this first stream, Ding Dong and Julian used terms like they, them, and those people, instead of clearly naming who did any of these things they're accusing. For the most part, it's obvious who they're referring to, but in cases like this, it makes the story very confusing to follow. I assume the they Ding Dong is referring to here is meant to be either members of OneyPlays staff or Chris himself, as afterwards, he says they confronted them over being hard to work with.
That's why it was really goofy the last time that we did record, because months later, after getting angry about stuff, they also brought up the idea of like, I never had problems with anybody else before, and it was so much easier, and I got to realize that you guys made everything so much more difficult, where I then had to follow up by going, then why did you ask me to record with you again? If everything was going so much better, then why were you just telling me that you're not gelling with any of these people, and you don't like doing this, and that's why you want to record with us again? Are you just saying that because you're angry in the heat of the moment right now? Why did you even ask me to do this again then?
An odd section here is Ding Dong mentions how he set ground rules to keep things from getting out of hand, as he puts it, specifying he said he didn't want any lolcow or political stuff to get brought up during the recordings. Then explains how he got upset when Chris mentioned the problem with Apu in their first recording and had to confront him about it after.
You just kind of, doing the same thing that they're doing, and you don't have to feed into any of it. Try to have a good time, because ultimately here, I want to give people at least something like entertaining. I want to give people a good time, even if this person just wants to give everyone like a miserable time. One of the rules that we had established immediately was, don't bring up intense political shit here. Don't try to like get drama stuff going or bring up like lol cows or whatever. Let's just try to focus on having a good time with the games that we're playing. And immediately, first recording session, bringing up problem with a poo, like fucking years later. And afterwards, we had to go into that saying, you did it. You did exactly what you said you weren't going to do. You talked about a thing that we didn't really want to be talking about, and you're trying to make it now that because we're on the couch with you, we're now aligned with all of this, and we're going with all of it. It was very awkward.
And here is the clip he is referring to.
Annoying. He tries to leave, too, if he shoots all of them. So it's faster to just let him shoot them and you destroy them.
Apu's huge, dude.
That's why they don't use him in the show anymore.
He was too frightening.
Yeah,
He
was
scared
intimidated.
children.
He was growing between each season and got too big.
They couldn't fit him on screen anymore.
Apu, why do you talk like that?
I do not know what you're talking about.
Notably, Ding Dong is actually the one to bring it up, not Chris, and he really does not sound upset about it, so I guess he just misremembered this. Ding Dong then mentions that he and Julian brought a portable hard drive for recordings, but the guys at OneyPlays insisted they use Dropbox, as that's assumedly how they do all their videos. Ding Dong being very annoyed by this.
Said this needs to take 2 weeks. We will do it. It will be 2 weeks. And nothing beyond that. We record everything. We give you everything. We even bought a portable hard drive. They refused to use the portable hard drive, and they left it where we were anyway, so we wasted money on a portable hard drive. They kept insisting that we have to use Dropbox and everything.
Ding Dong apparently had unstable internet, so this made it hard to upload footage for the editors, leading to this bad interaction for him.
Made all the people that were working on the editing end thinking that I was just making things up when I wasn't. And that I remember specifically one of them lashed out at me in the group chat at one point going, yeah, so how's that oh so real Pokemon video going right now? And my response was just, yeah, hi. And it took like a day for them to finally go, oh, I mean, like, I'm sorry if I came at you kind of hard with that one, but I mean, you gotta admit at the same time, man. And I was just like, no, I don't. We told you what our situation was, and I don't think you care. And eventually I was shown a screenshot where it was very absent-minded, the screenshot that they showed me. Because what they're trying to show me was like, oh, yeah, see, they're asking for this one file. One of the other people who was in the group. I got showed the screenshot, and I'm seeing every last person who's, like, on the editing team trash-talking us incessantly, making shit up about us, freaking the fuck out and getting paranoid about us, and insulting us every step of the way and going, ha 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 ha, wow. And it was just like, what the fuck is this? I didn't do anything to any of you guys. I haven't been talking to any of you guys. I'm about as clueless on all of this, too. And you immediately blame us and try to drop all of your fucking problems onto us. This is why we didn't want to come back to doing this kind of thing. Jesus Christ.
The wildest claims made are those about Chris's alleged bizarre behavior during his stay. Ding Dong first claims he could hear Chris rustling around in their room at night, insinuating he went through Julian's diary. Then mentions he, quote, caught them on 4chan, as well as listening to him freak out in the bathroom about not expecting the Yick playthrough to perform well algorithmically.
Off camera, constantly. I was grinding, I was doing all this stuff for it. Similar to how Kingdom Hearts, Julian was doing all that. He was grinding off camera and doing all this other stuff to make it possible. No, we pushed ourselves really hard. While they were just laying in our bed the whole time. And sleeping during the daytime and staying up all night. And we would hear them rustling around and doing whatever the fuck in the bedroom. I mentioned it that one of the days when we did play Yeek, they went into the bathroom and turned on the fan and went on their phone and said how it was going to be a video that was going to do really badly, and it seemed like he was really mad. And hoping that we weren't going to hear him, except he doesn't know our house. That fan doesn't cover shit. We heard the whole thing. We caught him on his phone using 4chan, and he said he was just using the comedy threads, except I saw the thread that he was looking at. It was related to somebody he works with. We saw there wasn't really improvement.
Ding Dong then goes into how he had to try really hard and did all the work to get the videos to be good, alluding to some kind of fake sabotaging by Chris and other people on staff, assumedly.
I know a lot of people are really angry with us for not wanting to see these things anymore or hear about these things and feeling like it's some kind of betrayal to an audience thing, but trust me on this.
We've also been talking about a lot of these things for years.
Yes, and people just not hearing it.
Yeah.
But no, if anything, that's why I was sometimes doing this stuff, is because I did care about the audience. I wanted to be able to give people good times despite all of this. But it became its own messy thing with that too, because no, it was being treated like I was actually hurting the audience and that I was trying to ruin everything when that stuff was being made because I was pushing myself through all of it. Once again, Yeek specifically, that was me. I picked that out. I picked that game out. I was grinding that game. I was trying to do everything I could for that one. It happened with a lot of them. I mentioned it with Panic. That almost didn't work at all. I had to go really hard Frankensteining that one together to kind of make it work. Because once again, the intention seemed to be kind of sabotage this one so we don't use it.
He goes on for a while about the effort he put into Yick specifically, namely grinding off camera and not feeling appreciated for that, focusing largely on its grand finale that never ended up releasing. Ding Dong claims Chris and him came up with a grand concept for the finale involving original animation and a fake video game they play. He says Chris made an animation of Alex Yick getting out of bed and some other small animations, whereas Ding Dong went into the game's code to make fully original cutscenes for it. But this ambitious finale ultimately falling apart due to Chris's laziness, if you believe Ding Dong. And he then goes on to say Chris threw him under the bus when a donator on stream asked him about it.
No one wanted you to go make a big deal of this either, and if anything, it's starting to feel like you're doing this because you're trying to, like, keep us held on to. And I do think that was the intention. I think the finale was supposed to be a thing of keeping us stalled out and, like, continuously as a factor here, which is why every single time it got brought up after the first time, it always had to be some vague kind of insult slung towards our direction, like we messed everything up. And I can also speak to this. I did get to see there was a direct image board post that I'm pretty sure came right from him to insist that we messed up the entire thing. Which, if you guys follow us and if you know anything about us, no, we commit ourselves very hard to the things we do. It's why I put up with all that to play Yeek to begin with, even when the game froze and even with all the grinding, and that's why I reverse engineered the game. No, I put a lot of effort in, actually. It was really unfortunate. And it's why it took someone having to donate money for them to eventually say that there was no finale. And having kind of their mannerisms slip out a bit, being a little bit backhanded to people over that.
Thank you, Liam Walker. What happened to the finale to Yik? Bro, I'm afraid we just canceled it. It just got too overhyped happening. And it's just done. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Very sorry. I know. I'm sad too.
Is that real?
That's real. Why would I lie?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know. I wanted to do it too. I'm sorry.
Maybe you will.
Jesus.
Is it okay to talk about the fact that you guys were making some cool custom stuff, or is that not even worth talking about?
That's fine. We got like a little bit into doing stuff, bounty. And then it was just too much work, and then all of our lives kind of caught up, and there hasn't been any time to focus on it. It was gonna, we overhyped it. It wasn't even that interesting. It was just the end of the game, and we barely said much over it.
I don't know. I'm saying I have no idea what the fuck you're
honestly. If there's one good thing that came from not putting it out, it's that people got curious to buy the game and see it themselves, because I do think it's actually a game worth checking out, even though it's really fucking dumb in places. But I think it's kind of worth it.
All this apparent tension during the OneyPlays recordings was apparently enough to end the friendship and work relationship between Chris, Ding Dong, and Julian.
But yeah, I don't want there to be some big fight coming off of this. And even with, the falling out that happened, there wasn't some big fight. I didn't have a big argument with him or something. He just started removing me on things. He kicked me off of the Dropbox. He removed me on Steam right after I had bought a game to play with him one night. Yeah, we didn't have some kind of big fight. He never wanted to be direct with us and have conversations with us when he knew something was wrong. In fact, when Julian was trying to arrange a conversation with him, he kept insisting on, he's going to yell at me. That was his phrasing over and over again, was he's going to yell at me. When Julian was always very calm with him when trying to talk to him. It's a thing that's not going to ever be worked out here. And it's a mentality that's been enabled for God knows how long by so many different people that there's no need for there to ever be a reason to change either or improve.
After this, it can be inferred Ding Dong and Julian wish to have ties fully cut with OneyPlays, since they are no longer mentioned on the channel and are left out of all the big compilation videos they publish. So that's it for the big OneyPlays segment, and most of what Ding Dong has to say when it comes to the work environment at OneyPlays. There are, however, far more claims made elsewhere throughout the stream. Julian makes a cameo and says Ding Dong's remarks are actually mild compared to his own feelings.
Right now, there's probably not people who were here to listen to the entire conversation for hours. Dee Dee's reaction is like very, very mild compared to mine. I've like very literally gone out of my mind over this stuff. And I've always been incredibly depressed and distressed about it. These experiences made me lose my faith in humanity overall. And it makes me incredibly angry at like everybody. And so I have to constantly try to like manage myself to not be completely hopeless and completely full of rage over everything.
And after that, Ding Dong gets a little political. First, Ding Dong says Oney's audience is made up of weird alt-writers and insinuates they actively appeal to them.
Do not like that. They don't like when we have to come up again. And we also don't like being reminded of all of it again. And with the potential of, we might be talking to some kind of weird alt-writer now, because that's what a big, massive majority of so much of that audience is. Because it's the tendencies, it's what they aim for, it's what they want.
He also has this absolutely insane comment about their Dustborn playthrough?
I don't watch the videos or anything, but I sure as shit did see the Dustborn thumbnails and everything. That was not a mistake posting that during Trump's inauguration and everything either. Clearly it was backlogged. Yeah, the SJW thumbnails and everything. Gee, I wonder why this is going up.
Ding Dong also goes on a mini rant about that ancient new guy drama, if any of you remember that comic.
And if someone would be like, no, they don't dogpile. Man, do you know where the new guy meme came from? Do you know what that was even in relation to? Some trans artist made a comic that nobody even saw until one of them decided to make it into a big spectacle and double down on it. Because how dare you say something negative about PewDiePie? Wonderful, darling, innocent person PewDiePie who's never done anything wrong. Why would you feel good about something bad happening to a person who was paying people who were struggling and suffering and desperate $5 to hold up a sign that said death to all Jews and then monetize the video? How dare you? He got to where he was through hard work by exploiting others and hurting others and I guess it kind of falls apart there, huh? No, I get it. The comic wasn't very good, but that was why that also happened.
And the second stream has this somewhat incendiary line from Julian.
And yes, bunny anxiety, absolutely, they are. They're acting like we aimed all of it at one person this time around again.
Because OneyPlays fans tend to be hyper defensive. They already know that they're into something that's a little fucked up and they feel nervous when people notice.
Yeah. No, you put it pretty well.
And finally, there's this part referring to Chris himself.
But I'm not sure when he kind of had his own moment of succumbing to it and getting overly worried about what other people...
Because I think a lot of people got sucked into like the political culture war stuff. He wasn't as much at the time, but he got a lot worse as the years went on, to the point where like being MAGA was like his only identity by the end. I think by the end, or sorry, at the beginning, the point that you're talking about, he was a little bit more of a human.
Yeah, I would say.
So yeah, it's pretty clear they are painting OneyPlays fans, the people there, and Oney himself as being very right-wing and something fucked up. I don't know about this, to be honest. I feel like it's a pretty common joke that the OneyPlays fanbase is weirdly diverse, from the wokest woke to the chuddiest chuds. And I think even the hosts strike me as being politically diverse, at least from what little we can really know about an e-celeb. I mean, if it's true Chris is super MAGA like they say, I mean Ding Dong and Julian were on this show for years and are obviously like the exact opposite of that. And it's worth mentioning they obviously participated in this very same edgy humor themselves.
I would never say the N-word. Fuck you, Julian. You're throwing me under the bus.
Hey, wait up! What hurt?
Hello, my...
Hello, my... That's how you stop yourself.
No!
My nice friend!
I picture you just like knocking a bunch of shit over.
Get out of here, you fucking Nimrod!
I was just asking, have any comments called us out for any racism?
Yes, because you said the N-word.
Julian said nigga and people got mad.
No, you said it!
Yeah, you said it!
You said nigga!
I was quoting him!
Fuck, I said it!
All three of you have said it except me! Because
What
you're
did
a
we
piece
say?
of shit, you libtard cuck!
No, can't say that.
He just said it. Don't say the word.
Don't say it.
It's valid to feel they grew past that or whatever, but they do not seem to offer that same branch to others, especially considering how most of the complaints about people they are making date anywhere from half to a full decade old. Most importantly, I think most people just do not feel that OneyPlays ever spreads genuinely harmful, bigoted rhetoric or whatever. You know, from my perspective, it's a harmless comedy show that feels a little edgy sometimes, but it's no more extreme than anything you'd see on like South Park, for example. But regardless, it's clear that's how Ding Dong and Julian feel, and I guess they have the right to. But they also extend this kind of messaging towards other tangentially OneyPlays related things, and these get a bit harder to empathize with. Most prominently when Ding Dong claims that Smiling Friends is full of alt-right dog whistles.
that could ever be wrong about the things that we do, and that they should all be accepted and treated the same way. That no culture could ever be, less than any other culture. And then they do a thing, and then all the people there want to kill them for it because they've been offended because of what their culture is. Gee, an episode about getting overly offended and wanting to kill people. It's weird that that's a consistent theme, huh? It's in more than one episode, even. The Hidden Worm Society running the government. That's why that shit is in there. You have to remember a lot of the people who were involved. You have to remember where a lot of these people came from prior. People just wanted to kind of automatically assume that if they stay quiet for long enough, their mentality has changed, even though they haven't. Man, I can go back to an example that's not even from the show. I only got to hear about this one because I don't watch the videos, but I had someone quote it at me, and I'd be like, why are you saying that, man? That's nasty as shit. That I had somebody at one point say to me, like, I am bipolar and I am autistic and these are the things that I have and these are the things that I deal with. And I was like, what are you doing? And they went, oh, it's a bit. And I was like, that's not a bit. Where did you even hear that one from? And they told me, and I'd be like, man, do you know why he said that? Because he's seriously just trying to insult people who have to deal with things like that.
Thank you for your medical records, Zach.
I wanted to make a video for a long time where the video is just a guy looking at the camera and listing all of his ailments. He's like, yeah, I'm bipolar, and I have schizophrenia, and I have OCD, and I have ADD, and I have ADHD,
That's just
and I'm
every
autistic,
fucking
and I've got
bio
Asperger's.
on Twitter.
Imagine the video goes on for like 45 seconds. And then I wanted to start naming shit. He's like, yeah, I got a bullet wound, I got a scratch on my forehead. He just starts naming other shit too.
There is people like that who...
I got a limp, I got a weird foot.
You got a lamp.
I got a lamp, I got a bullet wound, I got a scratch, I got a bum eye, I got 80/40 vision, this one eye.
80/40.
That's why I said, I'm confused why people weren't able to pick up on this. I thought it was really obvious. I thought it was really clear because in the past, everyone did pick up on it. I don't know what changed. Did things just get bad enough in real life that this kind of thing just gets ignored now and people don't even realize that that's where it's coming from? People had to really convince themselves that all these bad things are actually just good things now? Kind of feels that way. That's why I was saying, if people like it, you can like it or whatever. I'm not going to agree with you whatsoever, but you can like it. But that is where the stuff was coming from. It's been there the whole time.
That one's a little crazy. And he also has some strong words and insinuations about Newgrounds.
Sounding awfully a lot like a cult. Out of any of these online websites and communities I've seen, actually Newgrounds kind of does feel the closest to that to me. I haven't seen this kind of loyalty being embedded into so many other websites the same kind of way. It is really fucking weird. And like I said, it's driving people insane behind the scenes. And just questionable things in general. Like, I was really confused why so many people that we ran into around Newgrounds, sure, yeah, the neo-Nazi over there is already a big enough problem, but what's with that one over there? Why are you all contacting a 14-year-old to befriend right now? You're all in your 30s. What is that about?
The neo-Nazi comment could apply to anything, but how broadly he's insisting things like smiling friends are apparently alt-right, but the fake gesture at talking to 14-year-olds is a lot more worrying. Like, what the hell is that about? Take this with a grain of salt, but the only plausible idea I've heard is this Twitter user saying it's probably referring to Little Pico, a young teenage Japanese artist that interacted with Johnny Utah and Phantom Arcade a few times.
Oh, Pissam!
Tom Fulp rules. He's the greatest man I've ever met. Newgrounds rules. Tom Fulp rules.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Which, I don't know, I feel like that's just heckin' wholesome, to be honest. Finally, wrapping up this initial stream, a few more things worth mentioning is Ding Dong claims Chris frequently has goons parked in his streams to see if he says anything bad about him.
I mentioned it before, sometimes they got their friends to just be parked out in my stream to listen for anything that I would talk about.
And Julian comes in to explain why the stream went so long.
Thank you, Ninja. I'm very sorry that you guys have to keep jumping in to save us financially. It shouldn't have to be that way. Crowdfunding is like an idea with a lot of potential, and I was very excited when it kind of like Kickstarter first started being used to fund game projects and stuff like that, but The system still feels like it's not really working. The fact that we keep coming up short and like needing to do these emergency streams where we stay up all night, it seems like there's like a kink in the pipeline somewhere.
And that's where the archives I have access to end. The second stream is a legendary 24-hour one, running from the 20th to the 21st of July. About half of this was archived. The first point here is by far the most worrying, real, and scary one from everything in this video. According to Dong and Julian, on Christmas Eve of last year, someone attempted to come to their house, and they say they were streaming it on Discord, showing they had a gun with them. When the person did arrive, they apparently taped a bunch of Soyjack pictures to their house, then left. And they then revealed they actually came to the wrong address anyway. But regardless, the intention to harass them in real life was certainly there, so yeah, that's very scary for Dong and Julian, and I can certainly see that. They also linked the guy to the OneyPlays fandom by stating someone in the stream commented Sleepy Cabin 1 and mentioned how they contacted Zach Psychobubbles about it.
Screen capped all the messages and everything too. I still have all of them. We also have all the posts that were made about it. We have the videos that were being taken. We have the photos of the whole thing. One of the comments being made by people rooting it all on, shouting out Sleepy Cabin 1. And I mentioned it on Julian's stream even just a bit ago. I talked to Zach about that one, and that was even a thing that he said, like, you probably need to report this to, like, the FBI or something, because what the fuck does that even mean? Well, what it means is these audiences are pretty out of control, and I know why people stay very quiet about anything real happening, because they're really terrified of these audiences. A big part of the stuff that happened to us in the past is also coming off of the pressure of these things. And what we always felt since the start was, this shouldn't have to be this way. Everyone shouldn't be getting paranoid about each other and lashing out at each other because they're also paranoid about what the audience will do and trying to maintain a narrative that would look good in front of a big audience.
This is also very notable as being the one single claim across all these streams they show any kind of evidence for, being these screenshots. Which, yeah, I can see why this would be very scary for them. Also, the guy alerting them name is a Soyjack reference, being an anagram of Cobson. I'm not sure what to make of that. They also claim to have pictures and a video of this guy outside of what he thought to be their house, but they do not show them. They also say this along with the Chuba incident, and mean comments after the Twitter comic brought an influx of new viewers to their stream is the primary reasons for doing these drama streams in the first place.
To come through this, that this had to be the thing that made it that way is just, okay, you're being threatened to such a degree that you have to talk about it.
Yeah. But likewise, I mean, here, I can read one right now. If you thought you were struggling before, you're fucked now because I'm done.
Yeah,
I don't even know who
believe me,
you are.
I know. Like, we talk about it every day.
When you read phrasing like that, does that sound like someone who just casually is like disappointed, or somebody who clearly was taking all of this way more seriously than they should have? And
they're vengeful because that's the kind of material that they've been taking in exclusively.
Yes.
They like hateful content.
And that's why Aaron Hansen was also the scapegoat for a lot of people too, even though in our own videos, if you guys want to go back and watch those long streams, which is hard to do, a lot of people really did want to trim it down. It was a lot talked about. But if you ever even want to go back to them...
situation can have nuance.
It's all consistent. It's all the same things that already got brought up. The only thing that changed here is that people realized it wasn't just all about Aaron. So now it's bad.
And as you heard, they reiterate about 9 different times that the only reason people are criticizing them over their previous stream is because they are not just shitting on Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps, framing all their support over the Dream Daddy stream as simply being people happy to see Aaron get shit on and not genuine support for them.
But it'll be a thing. It's gonna suck for quite a long time here. Things were already rough enough. Things were already really tough to get by. Things have already been very difficult. I'd like to be able to, obviously, move ahead. So would Julian. But anytime that we try to move ahead, it usually gets people angry with us because they can notice that we're trying to move ahead. But they're going to have all their own conversations. If you guys want to actually have a bad time here tonight, go look up the re-upload from the one stream that they even titled it his quote-unquote last stream. They changed that video title. Go look at that one and look at the comment section on it. It doesn't match the public narrative about, we were really worried because of what Aaron did. It's actually a lot of them cheering for everything that happened to us and thinking that we're idiots and deserved every last bit of it, even when they thought it was Aaron.
I feel like this just isn't true. I mean, you can look at the comments of that video yourself, and any of them from over a week ago just aren't like that. And it's a little sad they perceive it that way, since I do think people pretty universally offer genuine sympathies for Ding Dong and Julian in that situation. They also mentioned Chris will be the most upset about everything being exposed, but also say he gave him his blessing to talk about everything.
But if you want me to be upfront and honest, yeah, Chris is probably going to be the one who's going to react maybe the strongest to it because he's really worried about his own image and has been. Even though he also told us that we were free to openly talk about these things, specifically to Julian. He told him that long
I don't
ago.
remember. Were you there when he said that?
I
or
was.
that...
No,
okay.
I was. I was there for it. He said it more than once even. He had brought it up repeatedly.
He confusingly constantly complains about his drama streams being clipped, edited, and taken out of context, like the first one we went over. But it's a near 1 hour uninterrupted segment, and furthermore, I just don't understand why they are choosing to air their grievances over a stream on their own dedicated website. Like, it's unrealistic to expect people to be on the ready to record a full half-day long stream, much less a 24-hour one. And even if people only have good intentions, that's obviously going to create a game of telephone where things naturally gets misconstrued, since they can only go off memory. I feel like it'd make way more sense to just make a simple Google Docie or YouTube video instead of, again, over 30 hours of streams if their concern is being taken out of context and people misunderstanding them. But anyway, after this, Ding Dong and Julian also claim that they do not want this to be a drama and just want to move on, before continuing to talk about the drama for another roughly 20 hours in this very stream.
None of this is logical. All of this was buffoonery since the start. We can just move on from it. We could. But the ball obviously is going to be in their court on that one if they want it to move on, and they most certainly don't. And they're going to use any excuse imaginable here to still act like it's the other end's fault when they're the ones overreacting to it. No, it's about trying to make a problem. It's trying to make it bigger. And if there's a demand that I have to take it back, I'm not going to, because it is what happened. But I also told people, like I said too, we can move on from these things as well. It's all anyone ever wanted.
There is also the macaroni incident, from where this archive gets its name. Here Ding Dong says that there is allegedly a conspiracy spreading amongst OneyPlays fans and 4chaners that Julian saying he had an upset stomach from eating macaroni was a code word. Supposedly code for being suicidal or something like that, according to him. This all seems to stem from one singular comment in their stream chat that really sounds like it was just a stupid joke.
But the reason I'm partially going for so long right now, because like I said, I think it is necessary to showcase this in real time, what it looks like, how they're acting right now, compared against what we're actually talking about and what it actually is here. The macaroni and cheese thing is such a phenomenal example of that, and it's seriously absurd that that actually happened. That immediately somebody was trying to insist that Julian's stomach being upset from eating macaroni was some code language. Somebody was trying to insist us using kiwi birds as some code language too. These guys are so so used to operating around dog whistles that they're seeing dog whistles that don't even exist. They're so used to communicating in fucked up ways that don't make any sense that they think we're doing the same kind of thing too. Someone getting sick from macaroni has to be a code message, right? It has to be a secret of some sort, right? These people have completely lost their mind long ago.
There is also multiple segments where they reiterate a large reason for them leaving OneyPlays initially was due to disliking the merch and business aspects of the channel.
And if we're going to give the context of what was spoken about, it's how the business end and over merchandising and a lot that was happening around that made it really uncomfortable to do things, and that was why we made a lot of distance back at the time, because we didn't want to get ourselves wrapped up in a lot of that. Specifically, the big one was just the thing around the merchandising, that they were doing a lot of it without really asking, and to be fair, when I say that too, I will exclude Chris from that one. Because I'm going to be completely direct on all of this, like I already was previously. Chris didn't do that. Chris was also kind of on autopilot himself about the merchandise. There were even pieces of merchandise that he didn't want to release that management end was trying to push for. They were running really out of control with the over-merchandising, and it was getting in the way of some of the stuff we were doing. Once that whole situation happened with the contract and the NDA and the merch payment and everything, that was the moment of, we gotta get out of here, I think. I think we just need to really get out of here at this point.
They are very adamant they did not want to do much merchandise. We know Julian specifically is very uncomfortable with that, which is more than fair and understandable. But despite this, management would push very hard for it, and they specifically mention a contract they were prompted to sign by management, which included an NDA, stating they could not shit-talk the OneyPlays brand, which they obviously did not end up signing.
Well, the contract had a thing at the end that was supposed to be an NDA that's in perpetuity, and it was supposed to be with the stipulation that if we say anything that could be taken as detrimental, or a criticism even, of the brand, then there could be a lawsuit and everything. And it was an NDA that's supposed to be in perpetuity, and in legal terms, I can already tell you, that's going to be a little bit of a tough one to hold up in court if it actually had to go as far as that. But I knew that already. I had already worked with contracts before. It's why I didn't sign it immediately. When you're presented with a contract, it's leaned towards the advantage of the person who wrote it. You're going to need to do revisions.
It's the natural process that you go back and forth. You
go
make
back and
revisions.
forth. I took out a pen, I circled it immediately. I said, what's this? This was supposed to be a thing about merchandise. Why is there an NDA snuck in here at the very end? And it's really tiny here too. We were being pushed to do something called Multiplayer Monday. They wanted to like really streamline and format everything we're doing a lot harder. We were being told to drop series that we wanted to continue. We were being told not to play certain things. When it was a lot more fun when it was so much more casual at the start before all of this. The thing is, Chris did want to be able to get business going through this, and he said it since the start that this was something to help him raise money so he could go do things outside of this. But it was impacting a lot, and I wish we had recorded it. I still remember the Multiplayer Monday theme song. You remember when he played it on the keyboard? He made the manager really
It's not going to
angry.
cheer me up. But
No,
yes,
I know, but it was funny. I think it's a funny story to still share because I want to at least let people know. It's not like there weren't good times here and there. There were, but there was conflict from literally, day one, and it was always tied to business and paranoia because everybody else was already in argument. But yeah, when the Multiplayer Monday thing came up, he didn't really want to do it. Neither of us did. We wanted to just keep doing whatever we were going to be playing. And he was on his keyboard, and he just started playing 2 chords over and over again to make it sound
doesn't make
doofy.
me happy to remember, but yes, that did happen.
And then he went, ha ha ha, hee hee hee. That's what found its way into the Mario video later on.
Mario, Mario, Mario.
And he said, that's the theme song to Multiplayer Monday. And all of us laughed and said, yeah, you're right. That's the theme song to Multiplayer Monday. And it made the manager really angry.
Some other random points. Despite it being the only thing they are realistically known for until their games come out, Ding Dong claims they did not find success and are not able to eat and live off of Patreon money and enjoy their fan base because of the exposure they got from OneyPlays.
But you guys are the reason that we've been able to survive. No, it's not because of any of the people that we were working for. No, it's not because of any of the people that we had been hovered by in a lot of cases coming off of any of this either. You guys. The communities that were coming by on our streaming channel on YouTube, over on Twitch, over here, Patreon, you guys have allowed us to survive through all of this. If you guys were not here, there is no way we would have ever made it through any of this. Not one goddamn bit. It would not have happened.
Notably, Julian says that he and Ding Dong were always miserable the entire time on OneyPlays, and he says he can't understand how people can't see that.
It's always really confused me. I remember a long time ago when I was hoping that people would just pick up on what the problem was, because to me it seemed obvious enough. To me it seemed like everybody could really tell what was going on, and that anybody who says otherwise is probably lying. It's still really hard for me to believe that people couldn't tell there was a problem.
It's called Rapist Beware.
You're in for a scare.
Jesus Christ.
What?
I spat it. I spat it
all over me. Oh my God. God, what is that? You got in my eye.
It's just water.
So although this stream is obviously very long, I can only see a little less than half of it, and even then, the same points are repeated over and over on loop, as well as a ton of the stuff they mentioned in the previous 10-hour stream. So it got very exhausting to get through, honestly. And there were no other especially notable claims I feel need to be featured that I could hear. So on to the next stream. The third stream takes place on the 22nd, is only 3 hours long, and doesn't get into the drama till about 50 minutes in, but then takes up the entire stream from that point onwards. And these last 2 streams are fully archived. This one starts with Ding Dong complaining about the archive of the initial stream we went over, claiming it's out of context and edited, which is not quite true as it's an unaltered 45-minute long clip.
So you know how we thought something was probably going on during that stream? Yeah, there was. Somebody figured out how to film it. They intentionally edited out most of it to just aim it all at one end. Yeah.
Oh, Aaron.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. We'll go on.
No.
I guess I should just let you finish.
I mean, I guess they included a little bit of that, but no, mostly about trying to make it seem like we're being petty and trying to throw a bunch of people under right now or something again. They titled it with the same kind of title you would have expected out of like almost a decade ago. They've apparently been deleting comments of anybody trying to even give context to some of it. So the intent is to do, you know, what they've been doing for years. Force it into be a big drama, and to be fair, it's going to be dramatic to any extent anyways, for being upfront, but I know since the beginning, you wanted the Band-Aid ripped off. At this point, the Band-Aid is ripped off. Everyone certainly has picked up on what's happened, but it is the thing that we always theorized from the beginning, which was absolutely no one is going to be there unless you're aiming at exclusively at Aaron Hansen.
Yeah.
And yes, they're blaming us for everything. Weird how that changes so quick. It's strange how that changes so very quickly when the name changes about where some of the problems came from.
Julian makes comments about Newgrounds and OneyPlays people being dangerous. This is reiterated quite a lot throughout the streams, and it seems they are characterizing the entire fan base based off of the guy who posted Sojax on what he thought to be their house. Next up, Dong and Julian make these very strange, vague comments about people behind the scenes threatening them, because they acknowledge they didn't have a good time on OneyPlays.
Hurt we are. I know it's not going to be taken well. I know it's going to be very threatening. I know that the people behind the scenes who already had been threatening us over the years will really being going probably the hardest they ever have, because this was the thing that they were ever really afraid of, was us kind of acknowledging that we didn't have a good time. Not even really having to go much further than that, just acknowledging that we didn't really get along.
It is also mentioned / threatened that Ding Dong apparently has files on everyone he could release if he had to.
Because this is playing out exactly how I was already kind of expecting it to, admittedly, even during.
I mean, you've been preparing for this for years. Yeah. You have your like documents and stuff.
No, I do have everything. If it really has to escalate to a point like that, the reason I never pulled a lot of this stuff out is because it never did escalate to a point like that.
Ding Dong continues to admonish people online, trying to make their super long drama streams into a drama.
Yeah, it's a whole weird thing with that within itself, that honesty doesn't really matter, the truth doesn't matter. What matters is a good narrative. You can expect drama videos, you can expect... And by the way, me saying all this, don't worry, that'll also be the way to shut that down. Oh, hey, they're doing the thing that he said. Yeah, but here's the thing, because I said it, that was bad too. Because that's me being paranoid once again about a thing that literally happened, and it's not paranoia, it's just recognizing that this is how people behave, because that's how they behave. I want people to also understand, with Chris, I know that he actually has room to not have to be, you know, mean. He could be nice. We'd witnessed it on occasion. I could see that there was a heart buried down in all of that. But unfortunately, once again, when you grow up around all this, and this is the crowd around you, it starts impacting you and influencing you. And that's why he was making a lot of his own nervous decisions at the time, too, and then lashing out, and kind of always pointing around at everybody around him. Which, unfortunately, that's the other spin this is being given, which is, but look at you, you're pointing around at everybody. Weren't all of you just pointing at Aaron? It's interesting that everyone's pointing at something.
One very interesting thing here is Ding Dong claims Chris's award-winning treaty in the platformer game Boblo was actually his game, or at least heavily built off of a game he made, later explaining it was the fake game that was supposed to be part of the Yick finale.
People wanted to make there be a rivalry between what we were working on and what Chris was working on, when truthfully, Chris's game was the game I was working on, and I gave him the source code for it because I didn't have time for it, because we were in the process of also trying to figure out moving down the road and actually being able to schedule in our own work again, because we barely could get any time for anything when we were back in LA. You're saying that I'm competing against my own game, which doesn't make any sense. And Chris understood that here and there. Yeah, no, the context on that one is supposed to be for a fake finale video that he wanted to have like a fake argument because he prioritized that a lot. Because I think, once again, you're too afraid of the audience. You want to make things look a certain way because of how the audience is going to act. And he wanted to have a fake fight in front of everybody, and that he wanted us to play a fake game. And that I would make a fake title screen for it, and we would just fight on the title screen. But then he wanted a level. And then he wanted more and more, and eventually it got to the point of, listen, I get it, you want to have a full game here, actually. That's why he was saying, maybe we could even put it on Steam and we charge like $1 for it. And I said, no. Here, I'll give you the source code. He found somebody who's going to be the new programmer, and I even went into a Discord group with the two of them and tried to talk him through the source code and just say, here's the starting point and everything if you want to work with it. Here's how you can do these things with it. I just gave all the work that I had. But that's why that one is a weird thing. No, he made the characters and everything. It's his idea. It's just the game itself, the game portion of it. No, that was the thing that I was asked to do, and it was partially the reason it got, like, started as a project between the two of us.
I suppose it's up to you guys if you believe that. He says the entire game part is him and Chris just added on the visuals. I'm sorry to say, I just find that insanely hard to believe, because that would just be plagiarism. And if I was in that situation, I'd be demanding my name in the credits and a hefty payment. But it's possible he kind of overstated what he did by like misspeaking, but okay. Then here's the full context for the now famous OneyPlays Ruined My Life clip, which I took inspiration for the thumbnail to this video.
So that's something to keep in mind about all this as a thing too.
I'm very sorry to everybody.
It's a much bigger mess than even just what happened here.
Specifically the people who want it to be normal.
Yeah.
And like...
We've wanted it to be normal too. We have to. There's pressures from a lot of people at this point who want to see kind of the worst things happen to everyone involved. But, like I said, you're kind of free to talk about whatever you want in relation to this at this point. I'm not going to limit you anymore.
All right, cool.
So if you have anything you want to say, like, feel free.
That's certainly going to change the dynamic because I've had to train myself to bite my tongue.
I know. Yeah. Just keep in mind that you're going to have people who are going to be, you know, copy and pasting literally everything you say and give it a bad interpretation, just intentionally so.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, I think you kind of don't care because you've already had everyone doing this to you for God knows how long. Both of us.
I'll do my best to try to be open without being reckless.
Okay. That's all I was ever worried about. I just didn't want there to be like...
I may still fuck up. You may not end up liking what I say about it.
I wouldn't want there to be some kind of situation that you
I will
speak
try.
something you don't know about.
I'll make an active effort to be better.
I guess what would you want to like talk about in regards to it?
I wouldn't want to talk about any of it.
Obviously.
Just more so when it comes up, I'm gonna get to say, yes, this is directly because of OneyPlays, basically. In the past, I had to avoid saying the word OneyPlays.
Yeah. And people
now
did pick up on that one.
I can I can say OneyPlays ruined my life. And now, like, it doesn't need to be an issue. Well, you know what I mean.
I mean, once again, here's the difference. We can now show this on stream for everybody. Here's a fun part of the stream. That statement you just made.
Is that still bad?
What I would have said behind the scenes was, because you just said OneyPlays ruined your life, that's a really good audio clip to have, because it doesn't say enough.
and someone can easily turn that into whatever it is they want. They don't like statements where you're in length actually getting into something, which is why they always edit me down.
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's less to be able to work with. You can be too specific and clear. But when you say something like that, it can sound hyperbolic. Someone can make that be turned into a whole.
But you've also gotten to see that when you expound, they just flip that out anyway.
That's what I'm not saying.
Oh.
I'm not saying a thing of like, oh, that's the better way to approach it. That's what
You're just explaining why there's a difference
Yes.
between how we tackle things.
Yes, how we
Okay,
tackle-
fair enough.
No.
Someone in chat asks if they needed therapy after, I'm assuming the initial drama stream or possibly the Dream Daddy situation.
Do you guys need therapy because of the video? Of course they did. By the way, in the video,
I do need therapy because of OneyPlays.
And we also mentioned in the video we don't have money to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, do you guys want to help us do that then? Or do you just want to say get therapy, mental illness over and over again?
No.
And the most odd is the, well, just listen for yourselves. I'm not sure what to say about this one.
I'm very sorry that if we end up, mysteriously vanishing, so to speak, or something like that, that I was not able to fulfill all the game projects that I wanted to do. But I knew it was going to be a possibility that this shit was going to get us killed, so here we are, I guess.
No.
I'm very sorry, because a lot of people in chat are talking about like how stressful this is. I've been having this on my mind every day for like the past 10 years. And that's why I've gone crazy. That's why I'm like, I can't relate to other human beings anymore.
But, we knew it was coming. Even on the thing of mysteriously disappearing, that was just like a month ago we told people about that, right?
Yeah.
That if we just suddenly vanish, just keep in mind, no, we were not suicidal. No, it's not that we did something to ourselves. Something like that probably ended up happening.
Yeah, we're very close to the end now, so let's go to the final stream. Finally, there is a Julian solo stream that's over 5 hours, and gives some very important context to everything from before. Early on, he mentioned how he's happy people realize they can't support something anymore, but he does not specify what that thing is. I'm assuming he means OneyPlays?
I abandoned a lot of people over the years. There were a lot of bridges burnt specifically over this issue that I was like, to literally everybody around me, hey, you can't support this. Hey, this is a problem. I really wanted everybody to acknowledge it, and we're finally at the situation. That's why the catharsis thing that somebody said a minute ago. We're finally now at the point where it's out in the open.
Dan says he and Ding Dong could die or lose all their funding over these streams.
And it made people so angry that like they're threatening to kill us and stuff again. And it could be that they'll succeed. We could lose all our funding. There's like multiple ways that this could like end everything.
This sounds pretty crazy. I really wish they would show some form of evidence for this stuff, but I'm choosing to give the benefit of the doubt here, that there are crazies sending them death threats, as it's not exactly uncommon if you have even a moderate following online, and especially if you're involved in any kind of drama. I don't really understand why they think they lose their funding though, beyond people who already support them financially being so off-put and uncomfortable from this whole fiasco, they leave their Patreon or whatever. Julian later on reveals the whole reason this streaming crusade started was because he was upset about all this stuff, and Ding Dong felt he had to speak for him, since Julian was apprehensive too.
Indeed, he was really scared. He was freaked out by how intense my emotions were. This is partially why he felt like he needed to speak up and give me a space to give my feelings on the subject. Because he watched as like it was affecting me really terribly, and I could tell you from personal perspective that like this shit feels like the worst thing ever. Doesn't have to necessarily be my specific problem, but that whatever is tormenting you fucking hurts. It's painful. It's physically painful. My chest hurts when I'm that scared.
He then spends a lot of the stream explaining how he's scared of fandom.
Certain extent, This is a problem that anybody under any amount of like fame would experience, to a certain extent. Things go really, really nutty whenever a lot of people know you exist, and that's why I'm always talking about like how I disapprove of the concept of fandom. Yeah, I've never seen anybody agree with me on that, as far as I can remember. I hope I'm not neglecting somebody, but I don't think I've ever met a person, including Dee Dee, like, Dee Dee is better at integrating into society than I am. He's able to accept the terms of the social contract. I have like a really hard time with that. With the tolerance paradox, as they call it.
And mentions he states this affliction causes him to have extreme panic upon seeing a Smiling Friends DVD in Walmart, and also when seeing digital circus pornography.
There's all kinds of things. Seeing a Smiling Friends DVD at the store freaked me out. Seeing everybody draw porn of digital circus freaks me out. It makes me feel like I can't participate in the world anymore. It's something that I need to be able to figure out. I mentioned a few minutes ago that, like, way back at the beginning when Dee Dee didn't want to speak about these things, I threatened to break up with him over it because I was like, I feel like this is unethical. I feel like it needs to be spoken up about. I feel like people are gonna get hurt. People got hurt anyway. There's a really big problem. It's been tormenting for me for years. That things related to OneyPlays, Smiling Friends, Digital Circus, etc. Has been like all this stuff. It bothers me a lot. It freaks me out that like these things are super popular. I would like to avoid them because the experience that I had was incredibly negative, and it triggers a trauma response in me. Me being able to say this is like, at least the good thing that came out of this is that we talked to a bunch of these people and like it was generally agreed upon that everybody thinks that it's really annoying. Everybody thinks that it's like harmful. Everybody thinks that it's an inconvenience. We're very much in danger. I'm pretty sure everybody past a certain point of like notoriety gets death threats, but you know, we've been getting death threats. But there's definitely been a consensus that like, because it freaks me out so badly, I really need to figure out a sustainable way of dealing with this stuff. Because it is not fair to ask that like all these things that I don't like disappear. I wish everybody well involved. I do genuinely want people who did bad things to improve.
So I've resisted saying this to this point, but their hyperfixation on their lives being at risk and assuming and painting literally every associate they've ever had as being two-faced and pitting them against each other and everyone else, sabotaging their projects and lives, leading to what sounds like them both isolating themselves from everyone else they know and seemingly feeding into each other's own negativity and grim theories about everything. Well, it just seems insanely unhealthy. They don't want to throw out everything they say entirely. I'm sure there is a lot of fact mixed in here. Like, I could believe Chris is maybe hard to work with in terms of lacking like punctuality and professionalism, as that's the case for like pretty much all YouTubers. And the management people pushing obnoxiously hard for merchandise and writing up scummy contracts also does sound realistic. But a lot of their claims about people just seem so wild, and they provide no evidence of any kind outside of that one thing with the guy coming to their house. Which I do believe them on, and I understand that's scary, but to use that to assume what? A huge group of like OneyPlays fans are like intent to literally murder you because you said bad things about Oney? Like, I'm sorry, but that just sounds completely removed from reality.
I'm very sorry that if we end up, you know, mysteriously vanishing, so to speak.
That if we just suddenly vanish, just keep in mind, no, we were not suicidal. No, it's not that we did something to ourselves. Something like that probably ended up happening.
And for everything else, we just have to go on their word and blind faith, and it really doesn't help that the few things we actually can confirm, namely anything they described happening during recordings, as I showed, all turned out to be either heavily exaggerated or outright false. Above all, sitting and listening to these streams for so many hours was just unbelievably depressing, and the way they describe this being stuff they talk about to each other all the time, and just does not sound very good. I really hope they actually do move on from this stuff. If things really are as bad as they say, there is no good that could come from turning this into a big drama and involving random people across the internet. You know, now they've said their piece, and hopefully that's enough. They even admit themselves constantly dredging back up drama will cause them nothing but harm, and I think they're right. So how is the reception to these drama streams? Well, there are some people I see who are unquestionably supporting Dong and Julian, although it seems every second one is actively lying and misrepresenting things, unfortunately. Like this post, apparently comes from a mod in their streams, so that explains that. There are others supporting them that just seem to hate Newgrounds types or OneyPlays specifically, and are using this as an example to flame, the same way Ding Dong described other people allegedly using his old stream to hate on Aaron Hansen, ironically. While there are others who identify with some of their criticisms, like those of OneyPlays and their fanbase's political leanings, but push back on the more extreme claims throughout. Overall though, the internet's reaction seems to very much not be on Ding Dong and Julian's side. The most reasonable are, like usual, those in the middle. You know, comments like this expressing that it's understandable why they feel the way they do, even if they express it in quite extreme ways. But that does not mean OneyPlays is like evil either. Or others saying it'd be better for them to talk directly with these people they feel wronged by instead of turning this into a big public spectacle, especially since they insist they do not want to cause any drama. Finally, there are, to be fair, the opposite extreme of people being overly mean to Ding Dong and Julian, whether it comes from being triggered by their political rants or a strong attachment to OneyPlays and feeling personally attacked on their behalf. There are also theories insinuating this is being done purely for attention and donations, based on them saying they are in a tight financial spot earlier in the streams, whereas others claim they are bitter, and say it's convenient how this happens to line up with Boblo winning award shows and Smiling Friends getting an Emmy nomination. But as for what kind of fallout this will have, if you ask me, probably nothing. I highly doubt any of the people mentioned will feel the need to make a response debunking the streams. I can't imagine a 40-minute video uploaded to OneyNG titled My Response for Chris Denies Intentionally Exposing Ding Dong's Chuba Fetish to the World. And I don't think any perceivable amount of people are going to stop watching OneyPlays because of this. At worst, this has made going back to the old Ding Dong and Julian episodes maybe a bit awkward and tainted for some fans. And that's it. The only people I could see this having any negative effect on is Ding Dong and Julian themselves, maybe chasing away a percentage of their dedicated fans who are also big OneyPlays fans, which I would guess is almost all of them. At the end, I just hope Ding Dong and Julian can improve their mental state a bit and maybe focus on more productive things. But what do you guys think about this whole situation? It's obviously a quite divisive one, so I'd like to hear any kind of opinion and some healthy discussion/debate in the comments. But please don't fight each other over it too much. And especially do not feel the need to bug Ding Dong and Julian over this. They've made it very clear they do not want to talk about any of this stuff anymore. But yeah, that's it for today. I got this video out pretty quick, so the next video should be uploaded very soon. And thanks for watching.